Hey friends, welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Oleg, and this is one and only Mr. Bond. We like watches. In today's video, we're going to do a full review of Lorier Neptune version 3. I borrowed this watch from a local subscriber and an awesome dude, Chris. Huge thank you to Chris for lending this watch to us because I wanted to get my hands on one of the Lorier watches for a really long time. First of all, they don't send out review samples to any YouTube reviewers, and secondly, they're always sold out. Even if I wanted to buy one of these watches, it was always sold out on their website. Now that I got my hands on one, what do I think? Am I disappointed? Am I impressed? Let's get into all of that. The diameter is 39 millimeters, this point to this point, but excluding the crown, it's 47 millimeters from one lug to another, so from this point to this point, and it has first female lengths, so it's a true 47 lug to lug, 20 millimeter lug opening, and it's 13 millimeters thick, including the domed plexiglass crystal. Here's what the watch looks like on my 7.5 inches or just under 20 centimeters wrist. Really nice and comfortable fit. I like the size. 39-40 millimeters is my personal sweet spot. I also like the weight. It's hefty enough, 135 grams, but it's not too heavy, so it's a very comfortable watch to wear throughout your day. I like the choice of first female lengths, so if you have a smaller size wrist, I think you can wear this watch with confidence. One thing I was hesitant about when I first saw this watch was this big oversized crown. I thought it might dig into your wrist. Happy to report that's not the case. The way this case is designed, the crown sits quite far from your wrist, so it's not gonna dig in and it's not gonna leave any red marks. Lastly, the thickness. 13 millimeters sounds quite thick. However, a lot of the thickness does come from the crystal. If you exclude the crystal, the watch is actually quite thin and it wears thin. So don't worry, this one doesn't wear too thick. I think a lot of comparisons, a lot of parallels could be drawn between these two watches. On the left we have Tudor Black Bay 58. On the right we have Lorier Neptune Series 3. Both watches are very similar in size. Both are 39 millimeters. They also have very similar weight, about 135 grams. And on the wrist, they wear similar. I think Black Bay 58 looks a little bit bigger because of that thicker bezel. Lorier has a thinner bezel, so it appears a little bit smaller. It also has a bit of a narrower case. The way the lugs are designed, they're not as chunky as the lugs on the Black Bay 58. So this watch actually wears even a little bit smaller than the Tudor Black Bay 58. Here's a side profile for both watches. As I mentioned before, Lorier doesn't look like a regular 13 millimeter thickness watch. It wears very close to the way Black Bay 58 wears, although it's not as slim. Overall, I think this Lorier is a pretty good alternative to a Tudor Black Bay 58. It is especially a good alternative to the new Black Bay 58 in blue. The blue color on this watch and the blue color on the Black Bay 58 are similar enough. I mean, yes, they are different shades of blue, especially on the dial, but overall, I think this watch will get the job done of scratching that sweet spot until you get your Black Bay 58 in blue. Surprisingly, this watch right now is available on the Lorier website. Why I say surprisingly? Because these watches usually sell out very quickly. The watch usually is available in 4 different color combinations. There is black and white, there is black and gilt, there is blue and white, and blue and gilt. The blue versions are available, the black versions are sold out. Now that is a bit puzzling to me for 2 reasons. Number one, I think blue simply looks better. You get kind of 2 watches in one. The watch almost looks black in dark lighting conditions, so you get that black version, but also it looks nice and blue in sunny conditions, so you also get the blue version. So that's why I say you kind of get 2 watches in one. And number 2, why I'm surprised that the blue version is available but the black version is sold out, because I think the blue version looks nicer. I think it's just a more variable watch. The black version just looks too basic, just looks like any other diver. If you're looking to pick one up, I would recommend the blue version over the black version. The case material is a stainless steel case and bracelet, 316L. Pretty nice finish on this watch. Brushed or satin finish on top of the lugs, and brush or satin finish on the sides of the case. It has a polished accent, this little beveling here on the sides of the case and on the lugs. It looks great and it gives a nice visual interest to this case. Overall, it also makes the watch appear a little bit slimmer, which is a nice effect. Clearly, Lorier was going for a vintage aesthetic when they designed this watch. First of all, the crown. It's big, oversized, no crown guards. It is a screw-down crown with Lorier logo. Good action, good knurling on this crown. No complaints there. The case back is a screw-down case back. Plain and simple, no writing whatsoever, just has the circle of Lorier logos. Kind of an interesting design element. The other vintage-inspired aspect of this watch is the bezel. It's an aluminum bezel insert. Quite like the design of this bezel. It's nice and simplistic. Doesn't have too many hashes. It's just 5-minute increments with 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 in Arabic numerals. And of course this triangle by the 0 o'clock position. The bezel action is quite nice. Firm clicks. Enough resistance, not too much, not too little. Overall, fairly satisfying. It's a coin edge bezel, so the grip is not the best. Your fingers do slip a little bit, but because the bezel doesn't have too much resistance, overall, not too bad. Vintage design aesthetics continue to the crystal and the dial. Let's talk about the crystal first. It's a domed plexiglass crystal. Surprisingly, it's not sapphire crystal. How often do you see a plexiglass crystal on a microbrand watch? Now, Lorier actually talks about this crystal quite a bit on their website, and they claim that they chose this crystal for a few reasons. Number one, of course, it most resembles a vintage watch. Number two, it has a warmer feel than a sapphire crystal. I would agree with that. Number three, this crystal was featured in a lot of different iconic watches. Tudor Sub, Rolex Sub, Omega Speedmaster, all those watches have plexiglass crystals. So that's why Lorier decided to go for this crystal. Now you might be thinking, that's probably a little bit of money savings there, that's why they chose it, and they actually address this issue also. They say it cost them more money to put this crystal in than it would to put a sapphire crystal in, because they had to reinforce the case and add some extra gaskets and such things to make sure that the watch still has 200 meters of water resistance. I'm not sure if it's actually true or it's a little bit of marketing trickery, but nevertheless, I do respect their choice for going with plexiglass crystal. For me personally, I would prefer a sapphire crystal just because I wear my watches very roughly, and there is no secret that plexiglass is a lot softer material than a sapphire. That's why a lot of modern watches feature sapphire and not plexiglass. Now, Lorier claims that, hey, you just use some poly watch and you get rid of those scuffs and those scratches. And it is true, but I would put a counter argument saying that hey, not all scuffs and scratches are made the same. Some are deeper than others. So again, the way I wear my watches, especially with a crystal like this, that protrudes so much, that sits so proudly above the case, I would bang it against every doorknob and against every tabletop in sight. So that's why I would prefer the sapphire crystal, but I gotta give some props to Lorier for going with this plexiglass crystal. It takes a lot of balls to do that. Now moving on to the dial, and again the dial is very vintage watch inspired. It has that open rail track, it has painted on indices, they're not applied. The set of hands looks very vintage, that arrow on the hour's hand, the arrow tip on the seconds hand. I like the length of these hands. They reach out all the way to the rail track, so that's good. They're not too short. However, I do have one negative with the hands, and it's the finish. If you look under macro shots, you can see some rough finishing around the set of hands. For a company with so much attention to detail, even going with plexiglass crystal instead of sapphire crystal, they could have finished the set of hands to a higher standard. Maybe it's just some QC issue on this specific watch. I'd be interested to hear from other owners of their Lorier watches. Do you have a rough finish on the set of hands of your watch? Leave those comments in the comment section below. On the positive side, the lume is great. It has the BGW9 lume and plenty of it. Here's a lume shot for you. Even application on the hands and indices, and the lume lasts for a pretty long time. The movement of choice for this Lorier watch is a Miyota 90S5 automatic movement. It's a high beat movement beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 24 joules and 42 hours of power reserve. A great choice of a movement. The only negative I have with this movement is that it has a unidirectional rotor and the rotor noise is quite loud. You can definitely hear that rotor spinning if the room is quiet. You can also feel the vibration of this rotor spinning. Now, I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the way this case is designed. Maybe the case is too small so it doesn't offset the weight of the rotor spinning. Either way, just be aware that the rotor is a little bit loud and you can hear it. Not a big deal for me personally, but if you care about that sort of thing, now you know. This Lorier Neptune 3 comes on a stainless steel bracelet. The bracelet for the most part is of a really nice quality. Satin finish on top and on the sides. It plays with the light really well. Reminds me of those bracelets from 1970s and 1980s. I actually have a Seiko with a very similar bracelet, although not as good quality as this. Nice chunky links on this one. Look at that. You're not really expecting such thick links from a bracelet on such a small watch, but it really works. I don't know how they did it, but it really does work. And the watch even has screw-in-place pins. Again, nice attention to detail. Now, what I don't like about this bracelet is the clasp. It's an engineered clasp with the 2 pushers for the release and 3 micro adjustments. All of that is pretty good. However, the gap here is a little bit too much. It's not as bad as some Seiko watches, but you can still see a little bit of a gap, and it's a bit too ratchety. On top of that, when I close this bracelet, I really have to make sure that it's closed. You really have to push it in and hear that click. Multiple times I didn't push the clasp hard enough and it came undone. So I think for future versions, they should definitely work on improving this clasp. On a watch that has such great attention to detail, this clasp and the set of hands definitely could use some improvement, especially in this price point. And the price of this watch is $500 US, which is quite a bit for a micro brand watch, especially with that Miyota movement. By the way, do you hear that movement? That's really loud, isn't it? I was just shaking my hand here, and you can really hear it. So that's what I was talking about with this movement. For some reason, in this specific watch, the vibration and the noise of the movement is very loud. I'm gonna put it down so it doesn't interfere with the audio. But coming back to the price, it's a little bit high. The watch itself is very beautiful, it's well done, the finishes on the watch are great, but that Miyota movement, it's not as high-end, it's not as accurate as Sellita SW200 would be. If this had a Sellita SW200, I would give it 2 thumbs up. As it is right now, it's kind of getting medium thumbs up. And I'm not a movement snob. Movement is not the highest on my priority list when I buy a watch, but if the watch had better finishes on those hands, again, kind of an omission. If you're putting so much attention to detail, pay attention to detail on the set of hands. $500 is a lot of money, so you're expecting a little bit better quality there. And the clasp, it's not the worst clasp, but it could be improved. On the other hand, I think this watch is a great alternative to a Tudor Black Bay 58. If you've been stuck on the waiting list, or if you don't want to spend the money for Tudor Black Bay 58, this watch here looks quite similar and wears very similar to the Black Bay 58. So it makes for a great alternative. Kind of ironic, right now the watch is available on the website, but it's gonna sell out very quickly, and then you will have to go on the waiting list, which is a bit ironic if you're buying this watch to get you through the waiting list on the Tudor Black Bay 58, but you have to get on the waiting list for the watch that you're buying instead of the watch that you are on the waiting list for. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Either way, it's just funny that there is a waiting list for a micro brand watch. That's how popular they are. So I think it's a little bit overpriced, but what do I know? It's sold out. So it is what it is. I appreciate you watching this video until the end. Please give this review a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, we release new videos every week, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about Lorier as a brand overall, and what do you think about this model specifically. I always enjoy reading your comments. By the way, today on my wrist, I'm wearing Omega Seamaster. I did a full review of this watch. That video can be found on the YouTube channel. I will also leave it linked in the description below. Also in the description below, there are a couple of other links. The first link is a secret link. Have a look if you're curious. The second link is a link to bondnativestraps.com. If you're looking for a great quality native strap and want to support this YouTube channel at the same time, getting one of these native straps is a great way to do so. thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Sit. Good boy. Good boy.